Okay, peace to the viewers, peace to the viewers, and peace to everybody in this meeting. Um, we decided to build on the fact that we're not Americans, and I invite all questions, all comments, especially again ones that brings tension, like I stated before the video, um, so we can get clarity, uncomfortable conversations that bring harmony, you know, because I don't care to what degree, let's touch down though. To question form, comment form, whatever, you know. So let's build on the fact that we're not Americans. And by we I mean Moors. What kind of Moors? Moroccan Moors. Moroccan Moors are not the same as American Moors. What do I mean by that? The Treaty of Peace and Friendship, right? Between two governments, two jurisdictions, the Moroccan government and the American government, i.e., the United States of America. Or some people say the Sultan of Morocco, still the Moroccan government. Right. So this treaty, the whole basis, let's just stick with the basics before we go anywhere with this, before we go too far, was the Moroccan Empire, or the Sultan of Morocco and the Moroccan Empire, this landmass, allowing the Americans to come here to do business for 50 years none the least, right? So who are the Americans? Who is the United States of America? Because let's just stick with this point. The United States of America is formerly known as the 13 colonies, or the colonists. So America was formerly known as the 13 colonies, right? These are just the basics. Now, what the confusion came because the United States of America tried to blend their identity with ours, the Moors, the Moroccan Moors. Now, why do I say Moroccan Moors and American Moors? Because Moors know that all melanated people are Moors, Moors all around the world, right? They're Moor by blood. Okay, that's cool. That's a fact. That's true, right? But politically, you're not a Moor. The dark-skinned person in France, Moor by blood. Politically, he's a Frenchman. Same for the dark-skinned person in Germany, right? Moor by blood. Politically, he's a German, right? Governed by the German Constitution, government, etc. So, as far as this landmass, as far as this landmass, this landmass is Morocco, right? Now, why do some Moors call it America and then say this is the Moroccan Empire? Like, that's saying two sides of the same coin. You can't call yourself American, then call yourself a Moroccan. Nah. Politically, you can only be one or the other. You can't if you're playing in a basketball game, if you are playing in a basketball game, if you are on the team, one of those teams, you wouldn't be saying you're a part of the other team too, trying to be in their huddle, passing the ball to their players, putting the ball in their hoop. You wouldn't do that. What some people think is dual citizenship. There was never a time where the Treaty of Peace and Friendship or any Moorish treaty allowed a Moroccan or a Moor to be a part of the United States of America. Moors know we are not U.S. citizens, but some think we're American citizens. The United States is a corporation. It's different from the United States of America. We're Americans and not a part of the United States, right? So that's what some say. But they caught in a trick bag that's on one side of the coin. They thinking that republic, supporting to be a republic. That I thought that too, right? But when I question everything, I remember Bobby Hemmett saying, "I'm gonna follow the truth, no matter where it leads me. I don't care if it leads me back to Jesus." Right? So I don't care if I look dumb in front of a million people and I gotta face cognitive dissonance. A true spiritual occultist gonna look at that as a playground. So it's up to us to really face our cognitive dissonance, right? Humility is really, well, we ain't gonna go there. So is this Morocco? Well, let's look at this case right quick before we stick with the basics. We just gonna stick with the basics for a while. But let's look at this case right here, right quick. This is France versus United States of America, international court case in 1952. France took United States of America to court, international court, in international law. What is international law? The highest system of law. International law is not United States. International law is not France. International law is not Germany. International law is the highest system of law that has treaties, conventions, etc. It's strictly all about enforcing treaties for all states. So it's not just one government. You're doing business internationally, yes. But when you're talking about the system of international law, that's not one particular state itself. So let's deal with this title right quick. Case concerning rights of nationals of the United States of America in Morocco. Now let's break this down because some people want to slice this 10 million ways. Case concerning rights of nationals of the United States of America in Morocco. Okay, so some people say this case is talking about nationals, American nationals, who are in Morocco, the Kingdom of Morocco. When more precisely, this case, just as the title says, because if you don't think about it, it's kind of like taking a text the wrong way. Like you pictured the tone totally different, so you perceived it totally different. But then when you look back at the text and say the same thing that you said in your head, you say, "Oh, wait, this is what it means." So, rights of nationals of the United States is talking about both American nationals and guess who? Moorish nationals. Why? They're talking about Moorish subjects in this case. Guess what they said about the Moorish subjects? They said Moorish subjects are under American jurisdiction. So if Moorish subjects are under American jurisdiction, why would it talk about the Kingdom of Morocco over in Africa? They're not under American jurisdiction, right? They have their own government. So to think that they're talking about the Moors over there, well, where is the United States of America? It's not over there in Africa, we wouldn't say. The United States of America is, they was called this landmass of the United States of America, right? No, because where's the United States of America? It's in Morocco. Why is it in Morocco? How is it in Morocco? Some people think that's two continents. You're trying to say, oh, two continents collide. No. Let's go back to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, right? Do I got somebody on mute? So let's go back to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Treaty of Peace and Friendship was about the Sultan of Morocco allowing the Americans to do business in Morocco for 50 years nonetheless. Right? Allowing them to do business in Morocco. Didn't the case just say United States of America in Morocco? Now, how are they in Morocco? Because United States of America was given limited jurisdiction. So they have their own jurisdiction in Morocco. Now, that means that it's an overlay. Their government is an overlay jurisdiction in Morocco. So America is not this landmass. The name of this land is the Moroccan Empire, just as it says in this case. So, and I didn't have my pictures. Matter of fact, I'm gonna send my pictures from my other phone. That way I can pull them up while I'm talking to you guys and just have them ready. So, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, again, is about allowing the was previously known as the 13 colonies to come over and do business in Morocco. So my phone is not missing. So to say we're Americans, you know how some people say, well, these historical books say this is America. They say we are the ancient Americans. They say this is Tamarik. This is Amaru. Amaraka. Al Marak. Now think about this. Al Marak is literally spelled A-L, and some people spell it a little different. A-L-M-A-R-O-C. Some people spell it A-L-M-O-R-O-C. Regardless, that spells Maroc. Continue that. This is O. Morocco. Some people say that means America. No, it literally says in the spelling Maroc, and then the people try to prove their point by taking away the L, crossing out the L, crossing out this letter, and then say, see how it means America? And it's like, no. You see how you don't have to take anything away, and you can just look at the word and see that it's Maroc, add another vowel, is O, Morocco. Al Maroc. There's no what some people call tricknology, which is not a word, to it. So some people again say in these historical books, this is America. Now let's think about this. In these historical books, they They don't know law. These are Englishmen who don't know law, writing books on behalf of the United States government. So where do you think this information is coming from in the first place? Okay. So let's get to this point. Let me find this.
Can I comment on one thing real quick? Uh,
Yeah,
also, just want to add in the word American or America. In when it comes to in history wise, it's fairly a new word, but this landmass Morocco is goes way far beyond 1512 when the word America was, I believe, was registered or established, and definitely isn't older than 1492. But if you go anywhere beyond before that, this landmass is referred to as Morocco or the Rib Al Aqsa, uh, as simply Moroccan Empire. But once you learn that the word America itself is too young of a word to be a description of this landmass when it comes to or identification, it's really the workings of the Europeans trying to fit themselves, as Akil said, as an overlay um, into on this landmass. Because I do know some people will say Moroccan or American and try to say really a Moroccan American is the same thing. Just try to slick it in there, but they're definitely two separate words and with two different historical beginnings. I yield.
yeah. Good
Yes, and
point.
to expound on what you're saying, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to
Go.
expound on what he was saying, and I think that ultimately it's going to be more of a shock to a lot of Moors, that refer to themselves as American Moors because of the fact that they are unaware of the overlay of jurisdiction. And I think that part is huge because they really think that there's something that they're not because they don't know that there was an original foundation before the overlay.
Exactly. Exactly. And having clarity on that original foundation is important because, you know, it's just like the word state. A lot of people just read words and, they just see the word more. Okay. Hey, peace, Mo. So a lot of Moors just see the word more. They look for documents that just have the word more in, you know, uh, without reading the, the thorough information or information thoroughly, excuse me. So this is why Moors believe they're Americans, or one of the reasons why. And we're gonna get into again. I invite all questions, comments that bring all tensions because all that. So this is 1828 Webster's Dictionary, right? Produced by an American government, right? It says American, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals. That don't look like the word more to me. Okay. Who are the Aboriginals? Okay. Or copper colored races. Huh. Very general. Found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. So let's break this down. Native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper colored races. Now, was this applied in law by treaty? Like, is there lawful documents that you can say that the copper colored people on this landmass, when the Europeans came here and so called found us, discovered us, whatever, can you say in any Moorish treaty that this was originally applied to the Aboriginals or the copper-colored races here. No, this was the Sultan of Morocco, not the Sultan of America, not the American Empire, not the United States of American Empire. The Sultan don't need a United States of American passport. It's not the Sultan of Moroccan America. It's the Sultan of the Moroccan Empire. It's the Sultan of the Sharifian Empire. Right? Same thing. And they even say that in the court case. So you can't blend two different jurisdictions. Right? Just as we say African American is unlawful. Italian American. Moorish American. How is that any more lawful? Right? Especially when it's not in law originally applied to us. So it says found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. Why is it applied to the descendants of Europeans? Because guess who started America? The descendants of the Europeans. So again, excuse me. So we are not Americans. This 1828 Webster's Dictionary is not law. It's not a law dictionary. It's a dictionary produced by the American government. So guess who's writing the narrative? The American government. Right? We are not Americans. Why? Because it was a treaty of peace and friendship between Morocco as a government, as a jurisdiction, that's the landmass, in America. Now, again, America, some people think is the whole landmass. They started off as 13 colonies on the east side of Morocco. So, where did they lawfully, degree by degree, point by point, agreement after agreement, grow into becoming lawfully the whole landmass? Lawfully. By agreement from the Moroccan government. Now, that's arguably, you can go both ways on that. Why? Because the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, or treaties like the Act of Algeciras, the Treaty of Madrid, Treaty of Fez, these articles these treaties are Moorish treaties in which the America, the United States of America, was in agreement to. So, hold on, I'm trying to send this link to somebody they can get into.
Just want to comment something that's come to my mind just now. Just kind of realize if you call yourself Moorish American, it's almost the same as saying I'm African American, because which cannot be true, because you call yourself African American, that's two different continents, first of all, not countries. And people are born into nations or countries. And so to call yourself two different continents, that's impossible to be born in two different continents. Same as calling yourself Moorish American, you are claiming you can't be born in two different jurisdictions at the same time, so to speak. and on top of that, one is superior to the other, with Moorish American, and which has whatever has precedence is the main identity. So Moroccan or Moor that has precedence over America. Like I said, like he's saying, we the contract of a treaty of peace and friendship between the Moors and the Americans. We gave them permission to do business over here. Now, they have we are the people with sanguinity, bloodline, inheritance to the land itself, while they are a guise, so to speak, over the land, or they're occupying over the land, but they're not people of the land. So, in a sense, and they have definitely taken advantage of that agreement we had back then with this treaty and peace and friendship. Because, in a way, I call that an ens legis corpse, which is basically a creature of law. If you already have a foundation of law already set amongst the people, and then here comes somebody else trying to impugn their jurisdiction into our law, and it becomes a creature within our own jurisdiction, and it causes confusion. And with them basically abusing the treaty in our jurisdiction, it's like it creates some confusion as to who is who. But when you read the treaties, it clearly states who the parties are: Moors in Morocco and Americans who we gave permission for them to be over here to do business at a limited jurisdiction. Just they have definitely, I say, bit off more than they can chew, and then put us in the dark. but that's my comment on that. I yield the floor.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I also wanted to just kind of chime in on that as well because I was sitting here thinking, and I'm like, like there's so many people, even myself, that I follow on social media. I feel like they're only I'm kind of like in a place where I'm not sure. It's like where they're only promoting a certain level of information, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, is that all they know and they just haven't come into the information of statehood, or are they, only promoting a certain level because they are trying to still encapsulate our people in the system that is still controlled by America, and that to me is something, and I don't, I don't want to rattle off names, but I just feel like there's a lot of people on social media that are promoting and selling products and processes and all of this stuff that is only given, like you spoke about in the past, Akil, just being like a mid-haven, but it's still underneath their arm and their reach, their control. And I'm like, I would never settle for that, knowing the history and the truth of, our origins, I yield the floor.
Uh, and you know, and I feel y'all if y'all don't want to mention no names, but I will in love though, because
Oh, I commend. There's plenty. I mean, you got because I have no problem doing that because it's all about the growth and development. Maybe they just don't know. I can't say they know, but at the same time, there needs to be light shed on these individuals that people that are wanting to come into this information won't get confused by that lower level of knowledge, right? So, you got the truths out there. You got even Sharif Nine Feathers Bay, with all that stuff that he got going on. Even dealing, with Taj Tariq Bay, as you mentioned in the past. And that's just a handful, like that's a small sample, but there's a lot of different individuals that are promoting like I want to give the people the whole entire truth. I'm not trying to give you anything less than 1,000% truth. So, you know, I want to be able to get the clarity on, you know, not to say it like that, but I do mean it in this way, like who's infiltrated and who's not, because it's really a misleading of people, and it's a hindrance to what we are trying to do.
uh, and we gonna really get into all of that, like all of that, because like I really wanna. Okay, let's just start with it, right. So Moorish America. I want to start with this concept before I even say any name. Because when I say names, I want to say names to measure out understanding. This ain't to call out nobody. It's to call out, okay, if we all claim to be honest, of high integrity, hopefully transparent, then we should have no problem just looking up definitions together. We should have no problems have finding solutions together, sharing solutions together, etc. Because more should be upright, fearless, and independent. So that comes with standing on your square, etc. Right. So when we're talking about Moorish American, this term, as we already settled, that's two different governments, two different jurisdictions. So to be a part of both, when No Moorish Treaty gave us the ability to be United States or American citizens. Actually, in the treaties, it says to be a part of another government, you have to get consent from the Moorish government first to be a part of another government, in which that has never happened because our government failed before anybody could even choose to do so or decide to do so or think about it. So it's all out of whack. But just to start with the Moorish American tip, what did Noble Ali say? I know a lot of Moors, right, are following Noble Ali's steps, in which you should. But you got to see what he was saying. He said, why are you Moorish American? Because you're descendants of Moroccans born in America. And if any time, correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm slightly a word off, and I'll tell you if I'm going to paraphrase. So, why are you Moorish American? Okay. Noble Ali said, the descendants of Moroccans born in America. Now, I don't have all information at hand when I give some of these points, but a lot of this stuff is like the basics, right? But so descendants of Moroccans. Why are you descendants of Moroccans? Remember, we're dealing with the question, why are you Moorish American? So he says you're descendant of Moroccans. Why? Because this is Morocco. This landmass is Morocco. But then he says, born in America. So he's saying that the prophet didn't know if this was Morocco or America. No, that's not what he said. Look at what he's saying. You're descendants of Moroccans. That means you're a Moor. That means you're a Moroccan, right? Calling yourself Moroccan doesn't put you in another jurisdiction. That's what you're called in your treaties, right? So you're Moroccan, born in America. That means you were in another jurisdiction. How did you get? Remember, we already established that's two different governments, that's two different jurisdictions. How did you get in another jurisdiction? Because you were naturalized. How did you naturalize? You didn't give in paperwork saying I want to be part of the United States. You didn't raise your right hand. You didn't do none of that. How were you naturalized? You were naturalized by acquiescence. Well, hold on, I sent in my paperwork. Hold on, I sent in my. No. Your Moroccan government acquiesced. It failed. You need to establish a Moroccan government, not individual processes. Not one person saying this is a judicial notice. Then they send in more other paperwork like they the minister of foreign affairs, like they the judge, like they the prime minister, like they the legislator, right? Like they the vice president. They send in paperwork like they everything. Like they elected official of all seats. No, you got to learn government from who? The European. Who is that? Both the United States and the United Nations. Why the United States? because they taught us things like commerce, right? It's good to be industrious, just as Noble Jolly said, right? But guess what? That's the last step when it comes to us and us as a nation of people, states, state governments. But we're gonna get into what state is in a second. But so descendants of Moroccans born in America. That's why you're Moorish American. You are naturalized in American government. Because this is not America, this is Morocco. Nobody really knew that this was Morocco. That's why you're a Moroccan. You're not a Moroccan because this is America. If you're American, then you're part of the United States of America. Where's the United States of America? In Morocco. Remember, it's an overlay. The United States of America is an overlay. There's documentation that says the United States of America exists in name only. It exists in name only. It's an overlay. It's a jurisdiction. It's not the name of the land.
Name only, in name only, not land. Not the land, just name.
It's in name only. Jurisdiction is paperwork. Why is it in name only? Well, not only because the United States of America is a corporation doing business as United States of, or United States is a corporation doing business as United States of America. That means nobody's in office in the United States of America. You got a side bubble doing business for you. Nobody's in that sphere though. Right? You got somebody doing the work for you because you're gone. That's what happened. They devalued or demoted themselves, dehumanized themselves by turning themselves into corporations. No more human rights. Supreme Court corporation. Jails corporation. Right? You, straw man corporation. What some people call the straw man, right? Which is the nom de guerre, which is the person, which is to be put under the Moroccan state government in its entirety. That's how you protect it. Boom. Next step. So, but we'll get to that point. Again, we're gonna stick with the basics. So, why are you Moorish American? Because you're descendants of Moroccans, born, i.e., naturalized in America. Who do they say you are? That straw man. That's what they like to say. That nom de guerre. That's what they like to say. Then when you say, I'm a Moor, they say, no, you're not. Say I'm Moorish American. Well, they say the mayor of Atlanta, the mayor of North Carolina, the mayor of Chicago. We acknowledge all Moorish Americans. Matter of fact, here's Moorish American Week. And guess what? Outside of the United States system, their government, they don't even mention the term Moorish American to nobody else. Matter of fact, it's not even in no treaty. This is the best luck you got. This is the closest chance you got saying you're Moorish American is in the treaty. Moroccan American. The treaty itself is called the Moroccan American Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Why? Because it's a treaty between Moors or Moroccans and Americans. Two different governments. So you can't be what Jay Bay says, a Laker Celtic. Who are you playing for? If you're a Moroccan born in America, that means the government acquiesced. Now, what confers nationality? State. State confers nationality. What state? State of not state of mind. State is your government. All you gotta do is establish it. That's how you put your nationality on the record. The state was the brother from the east. State of mind, right? Allah. Don't people like to talk about the Great White Office? Noble Ali was in, all this type of stuff. This is what Noble Ali was telling you. It's the brothers from the east. The east is spiritual. There's nothing from you looking to the east physically trying to calculate who, what army coming from what angle. Save it. Saint religion. Saint. We can get in dogma. That's another story. Whatever. Because I like to say, I'm Muslim, I'm Muslim. Same thing. To get more to the point, to get people to understand them, it's not about religion. I say, people say, what's your religion? Government. That's my religion. How about that? Human rights. That's my religion. How about that? What do you mean by that? I mean that my state of mind might be Muslim, peace, Allah, oneness. But I want to put that on paper. What kind of paper? A constitution. Why? Because I'm about oneness and peace. No matter religion. Remember Jews and Christians and Muslims were side by side at one point in peace? Governance was established. Better not do nothing out of line. Right? We all working together. But when there's nobody to protect you, not only is there physically nobody to protect you, but spiritually you're naked as well. Why? Because the treaties themselves are, what do they call them in the Bible? Covenants. That's what they call them in the Bible. Every time a God is talking about a covenant in the Bible, it's talking about treaties. So think about government in the Bible, right? That's every time they say covenant, that is talking about treaties. It's talking about something that happened in law at that period, right? So, and not to get all biblical, but so Moorish American. Now think about this. What do you think? Remember, COINTELPRO was involved, so you can't take everything that you received that Noble Drew Ali's name was attached to. His information was like, it was just supposed to be from him. All this type of stuff. He said it, oral statements, all this stuff. Take it with a grain of salt sometimes, depending on what it is. If this is actual literature, you can take more of it, but still, COINTELPRO can be involved. There's two different types of 101s. I mean, come on. So, Moorish American is only mentioned in the United States government, but when they turn around in international law, remember, that's the highest system of law. They don't call nobody Moorish Americans, no matter what type of paperwork you sent in, no matter if you talk to the United Nations as an organization, or no whatever, it don't even matter. You can be whatever organization, go by whatever name you want to in their state, as long as you're under their government, being protected by their government. A lot of Moors like to say, well, the police are the trustees, right? They're supposed to take over they're the trustees of the United States of America, so they gotta do, they gotta do what I say. They say stuff like that. So they say it as if they're supposed to protect them, right? They say, oh, they gotta do what the United States. We're not right, so they gotta at least do this. So it's pretty much like a handout type of situation. Like if you do this, I mean, you got all the guns, you got all the, well, Go ahead and protect like this. Right.
Right.
Thing is that
Thing is,
international law, they're not called nobody. It's called a Moorish American. Nobody. United States know better than that. They know that don't make no sense because they know that the mayor already acknowledged Moorish Americans. Still, same Moorish Americans can't exercise human rights. They still got hella complaints. So how much did they really recognize those Moorish Americans? Just for that week, they just giving niggas money.
and you,
Start getting fed
you
up.
know
You
what's
got to get
interesting about that?
yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off, but what's interesting about that is there was a period of time where I was seeing a lot of those proclamations floating around from, you know, different corporations, saying, Moorish American Week, all that stuff that you were saying. And I was thinking about another group of people that ended up getting caught up like on that same um, type of thing you're talking about, the whole thing with the rise of the Moors on the side of the road. And that created a whole, you know, I guess they were just misinformed, just not knowing, you know, I guess it's the information about statehood in general, and they just roped themselves into a situation where now they ended up, you know, doing a whole, basically a year locked up just based off of not fully understanding jurisdiction and the overlay and everything that comes along with that. And they have a strong following, at the same time, and that's, I think, where even they need the erudition, if they're willing to accept it in references information, because now, you know, we got a bunch of people that understand that they're Moors, but don't understand the political ramifications of what you say and what you identify with. And that's really where a lot of our plight comes from, because they just don't connect those dots that are most important. I yield the floor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and yeah, it's a lot of trick bags to this. Oh shoot. It's a lot of trick bags to this. So let's get off this treaty. Get a little bit more into this. Well, let's talk about more on Noble Drew Ali right quick. Because again, I want to clarify all concepts, all spheres. Like I don't even want to have to make another video on this frequency, this topic. So Noble Drew Ali established an organization, a religious organization, in a government that's not a Moroccan government. Was that wrong? No. And yes. But he did what he could for the time being. So pretty much anybody would do that because you would do what you could for the time being. But let's also remember what he told us. I brought you everything. Take it, right? And save yourselves. He said, I brought you everything. What else did he say? The half has not been told. So you just got out of his whole university, right? Then he passed away. And then there was a note you found. Said the half has not been told. Now you sitting there. Like, what do you mean half has not been told? You mean to tell me there's more that you had to tell me? You mean to tell me that there's more that I have to know somehow, regardless if he was gonna have to be the one that tells us or not? Yes, exactly what I am saying. because the half has not been told. That means he didn't tell you half of it. What is that other half? International law. That's who was going to tell you. Why? When Noble Drew Ali transitioned, a lot of what gives us the ability, this case alone came out in 1952, way after Noble Drew Ali transitioned, right? That's who's telling you. This case is telling you the half that has not been told. It came after Noble Drew Ali. It came here around the time where the third or fourth generation can grow up and read this case, right? So the half has not been told. That means that Noble Drew Ali established a Moorish Science Temple of America, of America, of America, not of Morocco, of America. Some people say the Holy Temple of Science and whatever. That's another story. We're not gonna. But Moorish Science Temple of America in Morocco. It's on the screen. The United States of America in Morocco. This is Noble Drew Ali knew this was Morocco. He knew about the Act of Algeciras, the Treaty of Madrid, Peace of Friendship. He knew how to comprehend. That's why he said the half has not been told. And if he tell you the rest, you're gonna go to sleep. Why? Why did you say you're gonna go to sleep if you tell you the rest? Because that's what Moore's doing now. You tell them the international law, they going to sleep. They stay asleep. They don't want to hear that. Matter of fact, I was called a treaty Moor about a couple months ago. It's called a treaty Moor. And it gets to the point to where if Moors are saying using that type of talk, then obviously they don't understand treaties. And they don't want to be a treaty Moor either or a part of treaties or something. And in fact, they're not if they're speaking like that. It says a lot. So when we're talking about what Noble Drew Ali set up, it was in the United States, the oppressor's government, right? But he did what he could, right? And if he told you everything, if he told you what he knew about all the Act of Algeciras in 1906, the Prophet was alive and well at that time. He could comprehend. But if he was to tell you everything, back to sleep you go. Why? Because just look around today. Look around today. Moors, people in general, want to be economically inclined. They so eager to start their business. They so eager to work for themselves, which is good. Be industrious. You got to learn how to do contracts. You got to learn how to do business. Be industrious. That's going to shape your character. Well, remember, that's what nationality is. Nationality is the quality of your character, the quality of your chakras, if you want to say, spiritual bodies, your mentality, the quality of your character, which arises from a nation or state of mind, i.e., not only a state of mind, but holistically, a political government, a Moorish state. 3 branches of government: state constitution, state seal, inauguration, consular courts, laws, right? State laws. Moorish Science Temple of America doesn't have state laws. Their bylaws, which are truly statutes, they have the power of statutes if you look it up in international law, which I posted on my page. The power of state. If you look up the book Principles of Political Science, it breaks down that basically. So the Moorish Science Temple in America has bylaws, which are basically statutes. Moors try to say, you know, everything about statutes and how they're so-called unlawful. Really, they're just phases or degrees of a government. That's why they're in a government. They're just a lot of Moors are just skewed in perception because it's used against them, right? And I can't blame them because I was one of them. For a long time, I was saying I was Moorish. I'm Moorish American. I went up to the city council meeting, said what I said, walked right out that meeting, and got thrown in the slammer. Walked right out that meeting, got thrown in the slammer. My brother-in-law didn't. He was standing right next to me. But sure enough, they know me. Here I go, coming out the city council meeting. City council meeting. He got thrown in the slammer. Trying to use my nationality card from RV Bay Publications that I just printed off. Said, yeah, this is how you do it. Send these documents in to the 7 locations. This is how you do it. Nah. Then I grew into the understanding and said, hey, you know what? Maybe this ain't necessarily the way. Maybe it's a little bit more. So I grew into saying, hey, I think it goes like this. I think I gotta change my name in their system, authenticate my birth certificate, update my social security number, create a trust, create an articles of organization so I can do business as an organization and not this straw man, which is the organization. I can use this corporation instead, right? Create a trust in this corporation. Civilly and criminally protected by using this shield, aka this corporation, right? But guess what? That's like a mid-heaven. Guess what? That's what Noble Ali established. If Noble Ali would have kept going, it would have looked like that, right? Using all types of stuff in the name of an organization. Religion shrouded it. That's the least you can do in their state. So I don't blame Moors for doing that, but understand that that's a mid-heaven. The time for working in the United States government has come and gone. That again, the 3rd or 4th generation. Okay, we grown now, right? So dealing with authenticating the birth certificate, right? And again, I want to talk about everything. Authenticating the birth certificate. Hey, well, and I'm just kind of playing the devil's advocate to myself at this point. So if I sound like I'm talking to myself, I'm just playing the devil's advocate because I want to bring up all points. So let's get off this screen. So authenticating the birth certificate. Authenticating the birth certificate. Hey, you can't do that because you didn't create that birth certificate. How you gonna authenticate something that's not yours? Is that what people say a lot of times? You can't do that. You didn't create that. They can't do that. Here I go arguing. Yeah, you can because it's all business, right? Why is it all business? Because they're a corporation and they're looking at you like a corporation. So let's talk corporation. I'll authenticate my birth certificate. That way I'm the holder in due course. How about that? Because they can't take it no higher than a corporation. They're not a government. So as long as we talking corporate laws, and I'm on top of my game, and I know I'm not a corporation, then it's always 5150. I'm gonna just authenticate the birth certificate, create a trust. That way I can put my ID, my plates, all that in the trust, and I can use it. And that's what Moors do. I can go get a United States of America passport. I can go use it. That's what Moors do, right? And I don't blame Moors for doing that, but understand it. That is not the correct way. That is not the whole. It's a difference between facts and truth. What's the truth? The truth is our instructions are in the Moroccan treaties, Moorish treaty. It doesn't say in any of our treaties to go authenticate your birth certificate in the United States, to go change your name in the United States, to go establish a trust in the United States, American government. It does not say the American citizen. It does not say none of that. Noble Drew established an organization in the United States of America. But what we got to understand, when we talking about the prophet, when we talking about look at this how the Moorish government is set up. You got the prophet at the top, then you got the caliph, right? Then you got the sultan, then you got the emir, then you got the Sayaraha, right? That's how Moors used to run government. That's how we eventually will be running government again. But for now, the Sayarahas are leading the way, right? The prime ministers, the wazirs, the chief qazis, etc., etc. Deputy wazirs, minister of foreign affairs, consul generals with the mufti, etc., etc. The qadis, right? But let's look at this. Remember, this is spiritual and physical, right? This is spiritual and physical. So, so you got the prophet. They brought you everything, yet the half has not been told. That means it's 50-50. Spirituality, spiritual and physical. That's 50-50. Prophet brought you 50. Then he said the half has not been told. Figure out the other 50. There's more work to do. Gotta be active. Be passive, it's over with. Gotta be active. He brought you 50. Remember, this is the prophet, right? When the wazir, when the sultan, when the haji, which is the minister of foreign affairs, when the qazi, which is the judge. He was a prophet. Now, where's the prophet in the Moroccan government? We're talking about more spiritual relations, right? Something that's tell you something that's to come. Physical wasn't, the other half wasn't here yet. It wasn't manifested, it wasn't established yet. Right? Where was the prophet born? In this land, man. This Morocco. The frequency is trying to tell you, but it's only gonna bring you 50. The prophet said, I brought you everything, and half not been told. That's 50-50. Or whatever you want to say. 60-40, whatever. The point is, it's more work to do that wasn't told by him. Where we gonna get this information? We can't depend on the United States solely. They're a corporation. You can't just learn government from them. We can learn corporate. We can learn municipal laws. We can learn commerce. We can be industrious. About it, right? But to be industrious from what degree? As a state, as a government, or as an organization in their corporation, or attending government. So, what kind of government is the Moorish Science Temple of America? Moorish Science Temple of America is a theocratic government. It's a theocratic government. Theocratic government relates to theology. If you ever went to a Catholic school, like how I did for 3 years, well, no, it was more than 3 years. But I had theology class in which the just sticking on topic is in relation to theocratic government. Why? Religion shrouded theocratic government. Now let's think holistically. Hey, that's a government. What are you talking about? What you mean? What kind of government I got? That's government. Theocratic government, more scientific than America, right? That's what I want to say. We must learn government from the European. That's what Noble Ali said. Why do I bring this up? When we look at countries like Yemen or any type of theocratic government in international law, guess what? They're a theocratic state. Okay. But again, are those the Europeans? No. Those are so quote unquote Arabs, right? Those are not the Europeans. When we look at the European, how do they got their government organized? Like modern states. That's three branches of government: state flag, state constitution, inauguration, etc. Right? So we can't just go back to the other times, the ancient times, and just step back into the same way we were running government. Because even then, we were learning how to do international law then. Because again, ours was falling. In modern states, the way you see the world now was uprising. Why were they uprising? Because they had to come together as what start with, some of them were towns, some of them city states, you know, there's different degrees, but they had to eventually come together and form what we know as international law. It's all about coming together. So regardless if it was Christian, Moorish, it's all Moorish, true, but the state, the frequency it stemmed from was about coming together. Why? Because the Moors was on everybody's tops. Truthfully, pirates everywhere. As soon as we do a treaty, boom, pirates go raid the same people we made the treaty with. How can we blame them for doing some of the things? We did what they was doing for way long. There's nothing to complain about. They doing everything that we was doing to them. Not everything. Just as Bobby Hemmings said, we can't give, I'm gonna just say them, credit for nothing. Not even the worst stuff. Because they learned it from us. Period. Even giving them the title, the so-called devil. We was doing that for how long before they got here? Who taught them that? When they came out of the cave? All the so-called magic. Who taught them that? What is a Moor? A dark-skinned person. So a dark-skinned person taught them that. No matter what group you claim to be from. Somebody from your lineage taught them that. So that's for everybody to take account. Like, ain't nobody coming clean in that. Nobody. So in peace to y'all coming in. So no drug in. Sticking on this point. And a lot of people will say, this is hate for no drug. This goes against. No, you got to finish off what he didn't tell you. That's what a lot of Moors are fighting. What he didn't tell you. Just because the name is not in these treaties, that's not more than Noble Drew steps. Oh, okay. For some reason, Moors only think that we only have a treaty of peace and friendship. They don't know about the Act of Algeciras. They don't know about the Treaty of Madrid, etc. They don't know about none of that. They don't know that the United Nations is the group that governs international law today. It's all about enforcing treaties strictly, not United States codes, not United States laws. Why? Because in what is that? The expatriation of the United States and citizenship uh, and protections abroad. It talks about, in as well as the France versus United States of America international court case. It talks about, and I know I'm not showing and proving a lot on the screen, but you guys can look this stuff up. But it talks about you having to choose between the entire laws of the empire. Choose between the entire laws of the empire, which is the Moroccan Empire, aka the Sharifian Empire, aka the Moroccan government. So the laws of the Moroccan government or the laws of another government. But you have to choose between entire submission. That's what it literally says. Choose between entire, not I'm gonna call my more here, but I'm gonna use a little bit of the United States laws over here to kind of beat this case. Now, if you're not set up like that politically, do what you got to do until you're politically correct. Then you fight how you're politically supposed to fight, right? But the whole thing is that, say it dawns on you, we need a more state government. So now you start working, right? But it's going to take time. It's going to take a certain amount of unity. Unity is uniformity. That's the true unity, uniformity, right? Being oneness, uniform. So that's the more mature way to kind of speak on. Like carbon is the melanin. So once you figure out, boom, I need to be a part of a more state government, right? Because a state is the only thing that's needed in international law. So that's why I keep saying state. That's a particular type of government. State. That's a modern state. They say in the France versus United States of America, Moors need a modern state, a Moroccan authority. That's what they literally call it, a modern state, a Moroccan authority. So instead of being this case saying all throughout this case, it says, I'm not about to find it, and excuse me if I'm getting you a little dizzy, but and I'm not about to read what's on the screen. You guys can read it if you like, but in this case, it talks about the Moors, the Moor subjects being under the jurisdiction of America. Now, again, if this was talking about Morocco over in Africa, why would this case say Moor subjects are under jurisdiction of America? They're not under jurisdiction of America. That just does not make sense. This case is important to study because it would cross out so many T's and dot out so many I's. This case again says more subjects and proteges, which means people that are protected, being protected by who? America, are under American jurisdiction. It says more subjects and proteges are under American jurisdiction. So if there's people that America are protecting, they must follow the laws of America, period. Who's America? United States of America. Who's United States of America? 13 colonies. The colonies. So attaching yourself to that in any way, American Indian, Moorish American, Moroccan American, whatever, it's all unlawful. I'm trying to find something that catches my eye, but you see it says Sharifian Empire right here. United States of America and Morocco are subject to the laws and regulations enforced in the Sharifian Empire. So it called this the United States of America is in Morocco, and they must follow the laws of Sharifian Empire. So who is the Sharifian Empire? Morocco. What they say in their history books? Let's align the true information, the facts with the truth. In the history books, those people don't know law. Those are Englishmen that barely know history, still trying to figure it out. Then they write books. It's a book called, I forgot what it's called, truthfully. It'll say Moorish American. It'll say American Empire. That's the first time I've seen American Empire. And it'll call Moorish American. I said this book is definitely produced by America. I already know. Whoever wrote that book is definitely on a mission. Because that's COINTELPRO. But let's not to say it like this, but and I say it like this out of love. But it's time for people to take accountability. It's time to have a backbone. It's time to, if you have a square, stand on it. It's time to be integral, transparent. It's time to speak in what's called tough love, a balance, right? Because we got to get out of the victimizing things, put the facts on the table, be at a round table, and act like we know how to measure out things truthfully. Because cognitive dissonance is getting in the way. And that's the only reason I'm pretty much talking kind of slow and direct. Not I'm trying to say I'm talking to a bunch of children or nothing like that. But you got to keep it simple and keep it direct. Keep it clean. Put the facts on the table and that's it. Don't add no more extra to it. When you put the facts on the table, here come another more saying, oh, it's really a tamarik. It's really, they're trying to add some extra stuff that's not even no type of treaty. Trying to tell me America's really this and America's really that. It's not no type of treaty. Put the facts on the table. Sound a real space cadet. Got to talk about 3,000 years ago just trying to prove a point. Let's talk about the facts on the table. 1952 case. All right. Your actual status right now, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and to piggyback, sorry if there's any background noise, I'm actually outside. But to piggyback on what you're saying, that's totally correct. Like this is gonna be an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of Moors because they just don't know this, and it's unfortunate, but at the same time, they gotta have, the understanding of, there's still more to learn. And I've always considered myself a lifetime student. So no matter what information I come across, I'm always still looking for more. And it was a reason why I never attached myself to any of those other processes. I was very close. Like you spoke about the authentication of the birth certificate, everything like that, all of that American national, type Midhaven stuff. I was right there, super close. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go on, this website, buy the thing, do this, do that, like, and it's something within me was just like, nah, that's not it. Like, and it was like, this burning desire to learn more because it just didn't sit right, And my biggest issue and frustration is like, why have we been strung along for so long? Because, I'm a direct individual in reference to, facts and reference points. Like, when we lay it on the table, what are you really saying? You know what I'm saying? Like now I know that you just operating through your ego, you're being emotional, you don't want to deal with the truth as a whole. Now I gotta separate myself from you because you're gonna be a distraction to what I'm trying to do, and I feel like it's gonna come to a point in time where we're gonna have those type of encounters with people that actively promote themselves as, Moorish Americans, etc., not understanding the ramifications of that. I yield the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I was kind of just scrolling so everybody would have something to screenshot as you were speaking. So, and that's true. Noble Drew said, we're gonna be able to count on one hand. So, we don't expect everybody to, hop on board. And truthfully, not this isn't for everybody, and that's another thing because an indigenous government, yes, a Moroccan state government specifically, yes, that's for everybody. But as far people who say they're American Indians, uh, Hebrew Israelites, and then or whatever, what have you, right? There's avenues for it all in a more state government. It's just all about alignment, organization. Because if we take the straw man, which the United States created, right? Didn't they create this thing in itself? We taking this whole thing and putting it in a more state government. Matter of fact, we're gonna take this too and this too, right? Because they're operating as this the thing. People who say Indian, I'm Cherokee or whatever, there's an option. If you look at AMPAGs, state IDs, Elodium Morris Pretium Ante Georgia, which is the Morris state with the exact boundaries of what people formerly know as Georgia. But now it's AMPAG. That's the Morris state there now. So on their IDs, I don't have it on the screen. Let's see if I can find my other phone. So on their ID, you'll see an area where they have a section to where you can have a flag for your tribe, basically. So this let me see. So so basically what I'm getting to is that everything is to be under the Moore state, and nobody is to be left out, and there's no point in trying to separate something, ideologies and stuff. You can't be using religion trying to prove our points when the religion is half the story. Religion, let's think about this. Governments don't care about what your religion is. It's talking about human rights. I'm not gonna say they don't care like it's completely don't care, but we're talking about human rights first and foremost, regardless of what your religion is. What you think Allah is or Jesus is, that's private law. That's state of mind. That's not the actual political government, right? You're not gonna come nation to nation trying to prove why Allah is the best or why Jesus is the best, stuff like that. Talking about this is how you establish government work. You know, state is what? State is four elements. But let's before I get into this, I wanna speak. Matter of fact, let me go back to this document because I want to speak. Not to call out names, but I want to call out names because I wanna put pressure. I want to draw lines, and I want to show people how to have even a conversation in love. Like a lot of people think it's egotistical to do such a thing, but truthfully, it's more like a suppression of fear, in which that's why a lot of times a lot of things are not being called out because if the judge does it, right, it's going to be too late when the person calls out something because already been people locked up because of certain people. It's been some more things been helping people, even though it might not be truthfully more state government being established and all that type of stuff, but still been helping people. Other Moors been helping people get locked up. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't, they will say it's very egotistical to call out people, which it can be. It can be. But if you're, let's just say, a judge, that's your duty. So, as far as the egotistical point on that view, it's kind of like, okay, what do you have to say there then? Because that's your job to do that. You see? So, but let's just deal with this point right quick before I talk about what's on the screen. Let's keep it like this. So, I'm gonna just mention a few names, right? Now let's build into this. You gotta understand this completely. Again, this is not to shame nobody, but the time is coming where there is nothing else to hide or anything. So again, a lot of Moors have been doing business with organizations in the United States. One Moor that has helped people out of murky situation is a Seer Duke of Tears. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as I know, his process in which I've built with the brother is basically to work your way up to get a United States of America passport. Now again, we already established that United States of America is not a Moroccan government, right? Many times when Moors say Moorish American, I'm Moorish American. We are the ancient Americans. We are the ancient Americans. Think about what's being said. Think about the frequency of what's being missed and what's being seen. We are the ancient Americans. To say that is to say, and a lot of people say, again, this was Tamariq Amadou. This is what this book says, whatever. Now let's think about this in holistic sense. It's a fact. It's fact and truth that the United States of Americans were previously known as the 13 colonies. Right? That's just fact. It's just everybody knows that. Fact, truth. Right? Nothing to negate it. Now, what's people can argue against as far as what's true or not, but factually on the table, right? They say this book said it, right? Now, since it's not in any treaties and it's just coming from random books, we just gotta take it with that much less than a grain of salt, that much less grain of salt. So when we say read books like this, we are the true American, we are the ancient Americans. Weigh this out, weigh this statement out, those types of statements out. For us to be the ancient Americans, now let's think about all the possibilities at hand. And this might not even be all of them. Let's just think about some of the possibilities at hand. There's what's called dirty Moors, right? That concept is out there, dirty Moors. Dirty Moors could have helped the colonists, the 13 colonies, or the Americans, choose that word American. Why do I say this? Well, George Washington wrote a letter to the Sultan. He said, hey, can we be called the United States of America? The United States, state of America, United States of America? Sultan said, yeah, go ahead, only pay me my money. Guess what? As soon as they filled that signed that treaty, they turned around and started acting belligerent. So it leads me to more think personally that it was intentionally done. They did that on purpose. But again, remember, this is two ways. We was pressing them, pirates, unlawfully pressing them. At the same time that treaty was being made. So we got to take all this in consideration and think about what would you do? You see, when we start to point the finger at ourselves and put everything in perspective, if there's a whole system of people that are known to be predominant, known as pirates, right? And that was very, very big at that time. The sea, the law of the sea, was very, very popular at that time. You mean to tell me that Moors can still look at this history, hope, plan, and work their way into kicking the European out, right? Doing all this unlawful stuff, starting an army, all this type of stuff, thinking that they're not about to get that same energy back, thinking that they working truly in Islam, self-preservation, all this type of stuff, thinking that they're truly working in law. This is a treaty of peace and friendship. How did they get to that? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Love first. Treaty of peace, love first. Treaty of peace and friendship. How we gonna enact love besides just talking about it? Besides just tweets, making little journal, affirmation journals. Yeah, that's good and all. But if you ain't got an end goal, if you don't have a centerpiece, what is the centerpiece? No, everybody is not meant to be officials of the state. But guess what? What's the centerpiece? We are all humans. Deserve human rights. Your corporation that you want to be so flourishing in, guess what? It can be a part of the indigenous government that's for you. Your tribe, your Hebrew Israelites, right, can be a part of a government that's for you. This should be everybody's goal to some degree. Again, being officials is not likely for everybody. There's only so many seats for so many years. It's not possible for so many people to be officials. There's more, it's way more likely people to be nationals, right? Being industrious in a Moorish government. So it's really not changing anything for most people. It's just saying you need to be in a Moorish government. You're already doing business. You're already doing business at something. I see you don't want to be an official. But what needs to happen is that this love that you speak on, this love, peace, and light, this unity you speak on, we just need to demystify, mature, hone in on the centerpiece, and everybody thinks from that centerpiece where their part is. Again, it doesn't even have to start with the same action as this person, but this centerpiece is indigenous government. What kind of government? A Moorish state government. Why? Because this is Morocco, we are Moors. The United States of America is in Morocco, right? So what's a state? And again, I bring up the brother name out of love. We're gonna bring up more just to measure because, again, Asir is a good brother, but we have to use our not only our common sense, but we have to use our foresight. In again, Noble Drew Ali didn't bring us everything. He brought everything he could. Otherwise, the half has not been told because he wasn't going to bring you that half. Who brought you everything? He didn't bring you a state government. He didn't bring you a Moorish government. He brought you an organization in the United States. That's not the end all be all. That is not success. That's not it. Staying in oppressive governance is not it. It can be what we can do for now, yeah. But if he was to tell everybody about statehood back then, just as he began to try to, people would have went to sleep faster. He would have lost more people probably. People wasn't even up to doing organizations then. People didn't even have the knowledge to do business. People had to pay 25 cents. You look up how much 25 cents was, how much it is today. Back then, I know people in my family was penny pinching back in that time. While Noble Drew Ali was flourishing. You know what I'm saying? So it was real different back then. But nonetheless, we have Noble Drew Ali setting up an organization to do business through in their government. So when I see Morris doing that, I don't blame them because it was COINTELPRO who hid a lot. It was meant for us to only go so far. Well, not to say it was meant. They tried to make it meant for us to only go so far. But all they can do is slow it down. They can't stop it. They can't. So what is this? So what is a state? A state is this is from the Montevideo Convention, Rights and Duties of the State, which is international law. Now, Article 1, it reads, it tells you what a state is. Now, a state is a person of international law and should possess the following qualifications: a permanent population, which is a nation, a defined territory, which is a country. You know, you look the longitude, latitude of the country. You can look up, see what that is. That's the defined territory. Okay, so continuing, what is a state? We know again that the Moroccan Temple of America is not a state because it can't enter into relations with other states, like sign treaties. They can write the United Nations, right? We've seen people like Dr. Aline Bay show letters, right, saying that United Nations uh, calls him Prince something, right? Uh, all this types of stuff. Moorish American, right? But again, doing business as an organization in the United States is not instructions in Moorish treaties. Those are not the instructions. Those are not the instructions that the United Nations tells us. The United Nations has instructions for everybody who wants to start a government. What kind of government? A state government, so they're not stateless. Right now, Moors are stateless. I don't mean mindless. They have their mind, but it's not grounded, meaning they don't have a physical connectivity. They don't have anything protecting them. They don't. It's not. It's only spiritual. It's only abstract. They can't protect themselves using their mind. What do I mean by that? A covenant, a treaty. That's how God protects you. That's why you don't need a pocket knife, just like Noble Drew Ali said, because a treaty, once you know law, you'll have the power that people are truly scared of because you're using counterintelligence. They know we don't have a Moroccan army right now. They know we're developing states. But guess what? Thanks to counterintelligence, we can utilize power, in which we can get into in more other videos. But I'm trying to keep it basic right now. So state is not just our state of mind. It's not just Allah. It's not just Muslim or Muslim. It's a political government. This is the same. It's defined territory, which is a country. More science of America ain't no country. There's no, every country is not going to be called More Science Temple America. It's how many More Science Temple Americas are in one state? You tell me all those are the state government? All of them not even on the same page. And it's not shunning the temple. But what's truly going to happen is that the temples, the only way for those to get clean is for more states to approach them, make them follow the law, make them follow the law just as all other people in the state will eventually be following Moroccan law under Moroccan authority to some degree. They keep kicking me out.
Islam, I see. I see. I don't know why it's doing that.
I'm gonna start right back where I started. So, right back where I left off. So, again, the Moorish Temple of America cannot be a state government. That's not the name of all states, right? There's only so many Moorish Temple. There's, there can be 5 Moorish Temple of America in one city. Not really, but let's just say in one state. Which one is the most supreme? It doesn't really matter because none of them are the state government. The whole state is not going to be called Moorish Temple of America, right? You see, the state here is defined is a defined territory. What is that? A country. Okay. So, and also again, the permanent population means nation. So to say, what's your nationality or what's your nation? Da 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 da. Nations of people can be stateless. So nation, that word is not strong enough. States. That's why they say nation states. You got to get more specific. States. So this is the person that's taking the wheel. The state. So um, I wish I could find it at the moment, but let's continue with uncomfortable conversations because um, exercised by the Moroccan authorities. Let me see. In these circumstances, the court is not called upon to consider and decide the general question of the extent of the control of the import over importation that may be exercised by the Moroccan authorities. Okay, I just reading a random sentence. But back to my point, and we can kind of grow into this as well, as far as the Sultan and how our government failed, because I think I clarified enough points on how we are not Americans, how they may be Moors by blood, dark skin by blood, or dark skin and all that, or melanated in general, but politically you're not a Moor. So again, if you read this case, you'll see the difference between United States laws and international law. So, you know, there's Moors who believe that we could print stuff off, right? And, you know, use fearful tactics, fearful methods of teaching to basically lead a person into thinking a certain way. Okay. Many more. Let's get this. Let's get it straight. It'll get to a point where more states will enact certain laws and enforce the United States, some particular organizations, to give up the name of certain agents, of all agents who are in the way. And guess what? That will happen. Why? Because the United States, they want to continue being the United States or United States of America, right? Or doing business as the United States of America. They want to continue to do that, right? Well, after diplomatic relations are established, after we take them to court, after um, all of this, and this comes in various degrees. This doesn't come in the same lineup. This is continuous and in various degrees. But after all of that, we got to remember who we're dealing with for one. So it's two sides to everything. Okay. But we got to remember who we're dealing with. They're going to give that list, not only because there's laws in force, which is the main reason, but think about this. This is chess. Would you rather have a whole organization crumble no matter how popular it is or the whole government crumble? That one, say you got a group of 10 people and they all snitches, right? They just did some stuff bad. You caught them, right? You're the Moore State, you're part of the Moore State Police, and you caught them, right? Doing some unlawful stuff. And y'all snitches. Whoever's the weakest link is gonna get snitched on the most, gonna get it the worst, right? People gonna plot around him, her, whatever, them, while the rest of them can save themselves as much as they can because they refuse to go down. They just trying to make the trouble's on him. Point the finger that way. I got all the information you need, right? I'm good. Just tell me I'm good. I'm gonna be. Tell me I'm just gonna go home on house arrest. Let him get locked. I'm good. I just want to be a friend. Type of thing. The United States are not going to want to fall as a whole. That's crazy. They're going to want to follow the treaties. They're going to do business and hope for the best. They're going to want to not go back to Europe, just as Noble Drew Ali said, right? Because it's remember, regardless if it's COINTELPRO or not, the way out on oral statements, oral statements are not, it's not enough weight for anything, especially if you don't even know if it came from the person. But dealing with what was I about to get to? Anyway, I'm not even gonna ponder on it. Next point is us establishing state governments. Okay, we already established how we're not American. We're not American Indians. We're not Moorish Americans, right? And again, it's what is that? I'm about to find that. No, I'm about to find that. I'm gonna go to my state page on Instagram. And I'm gonna find this document where Noble Drew Ali's work. Here it is. Okay. In the Divine Warning by Noble Drew Ali, he spoke about Moors casting ballots to elect officials in their state government. A state government is a national government. We are not to be stateless Moors. The new word for nationality is state/stately, because according to the Monte Video on the rights and duties of the state, a state includes both a nation, i.e., a permanent population of people, and a government. So let's just say statehood instead of nationality, because they mean the same exact thing. So is nationality required? Yes, in international law. But is nationality the whole thing? No. What's the whole thing? State government. That's what controls it. That's what controls and confers your nationality, the state government. Nationality is only half of it. That's a part of the state government. That's what creates the state government. That's a part of what helped create the state government. That's the reason why the state government was created. But it's not the state. Part of it. Part and parcel, right? Just as you are to your own Moroccan state. So it says right here, and I'm gonna just read the first paragraph. It says, and through it, and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, and that they can cast a free national ballot, a national, a free national, to be a national, you got to be a part of a state. They can cast a free national ballot at the polls under a free national constitution of the state government. Now, hold on. They talking about the United States? No. Well, to be a national must pledge allegiance to a state. You telling me that more saying they pledge allegiance to the United States? No, they can't be citizens. You got to pledge allegiance to be a state, to be a national. That's the definition of a national. Pledging allegiance to a state. What state? What state are you a part of, more? That's the question. You see, a free national. United States ain't nothing free national ballot about that. If you think it's the United States, you think it's the United States of America. They can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government. It's all right there. It's all right there. More's been overlooking. Or else you can't cast a free national ballot under the United States. You can't. You're not even national. You be a U.S. national, American national, but we're not Americans. So look at the word: free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the states. State of Indiana, the state of California, those are not free national constitutions. But one of those are corporations. Same as government. Under the state's constitution. That's a capital S. That's your state. You talking about? Right. So, matter of fact, let's bring up this point. Okay. Note the capital S. While the term country, state, and nation are often used interchangeably, there is a difference. State, note the capital S. Some of us may have heard of J. Jermaine Bay say capital S, the importance of the capital S on state. Why is that important? Lowercase state is just referring to a country, just referring to a country. Capital state, capital S state refers to everything we just talked about, those four elements we just went over. Permanent population, defined territory of government, and the capacity into relation. Capacity to enter into other relations with other states. So a state, capital S, right, is a self-governing political entity. The term state can be used interchangeably with country. A nation, however, is a tightly knit group of people will share a common culture. So nation ain't strong enough. A nation of people can be stateless, just as a lot of Moors are. A nation of people is stateless. So this pretty much begins to wrap up everything I was going to say, because the whole point of this video is that we are not Americans. In that no matter how you're doing business in the United States, it's a mid-heaven, purgatory, 50-50, not the end goal, right? That's not what Noah Drawley was talking about when he said the third and fourth generation will get what I'm saying. So I applaud all the Moors that are finding, beating cases by doing business as an organization in the United States. I applaud Moors um, who are able to utilize their IDs and license plates because that's better than the last generation of Moors who were holding up everything. Right? They was just getting taxes paid for, or not having to pay taxes, and they thought that was the biggest thing. Some Moors is beating murder cases. They're part of Freemason organizations. How they gonna beat a murder case? United States laws? I know it wasn't Moroccan law. Hmm. You see, these are the people that's gonna be in this list. Facts. The best. This the thing. When we talking about these Freemasons and stuff like that, we gotta think about just look at the Moors in general. Look at the Moors in general. As I stated before, there's not a lot of Moors jumping for joy to start a state government. Nobody seems to be that eager except the chosen few. And why do I say chosen few? Because those are the elected officials, chosen literally few. Like, this ain't no spooky talk. Like literally the chosen few. So in dealing with these Freemasons, it's just like the Moors. Just look at the Moors. A lot of these Freemasons, this Moors, some of them, I say not a lot of them, some of them have been they're in that position because they've been led astray. Whether they know it or not is another thing. Yeah, you can't tell me that all of them don't know something to some degree. But especially if you be murder charge, murder charge. But because again, no matter if you set yourself up civilly or criminally, you set up your organization. That way, civilly or criminally, you can fight your cases different. No matter you doing that in their system, guess what? In international law, you're still the more subject and a protege. No matter how you set yourself up in their system, that's their system. International law, real high system law, that means nothing. Get rid of all of that. It's like you never did nothing. You're a protege and a more subject under American jurisdiction, period. No matter how many hours you spent in that street, no matter how many times you went to that court, I do not care. The law don't care. So again, when we hear, a lot of these brothers, North American teachers, so called, saying, we're that ancient Americans, saying we got to do this organization, saying uh, the Pope is after us and study to assess the key, all this type of stuff. Um, Stuff like I'm gonna put it like this. There are a lot of outlets of information, right? A lot. Talk about the ancient giants, talk about the Titans, talk about wars in ancient times, talk about worlds beyond the poles, talk about how Tartaria used to be, talk about ancient technology, talk about ancient sciences and practices, pyramids, all this stuff. It can be misleading and taint the spirit if you are not grounding your purpose. It, Me personally, I'm getting to the point to where it's hard to listen to a lot of the spiritual stuff because it low key grind my gears with saying, Moorish American and we're American. I can only listen to that so much. But spiritually, random videos ain't got nothing to do with Moors. like really got a lot to do with wars or whatever, but it can be about anything. It's hard for me personally to listen to this stuff because you know being rooted in your purpose, you start to your purpose becomes your hobby, and it start to everything else starts to ground out because it's like it's not real like that anymore. I'm not saying it's not real, but it's not as usable. It's like when we gonna go talk about giants all day and stuff like this. Like we got Rod Hayes talking about we need to say free Larry Hoover as more for freedom. Come on, man. Real. You know what I'm saying? Like we gotta stop. We gotta get grounded for real. Like for real. And it starts with acts of just being direct, be blunt, be have a spine, accept constructive criticism, be humble on the square. Don't always be out for somebody, point your chest out.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that as I state all these names, I don't state it again to hurt anybody's career, hurt anybody's cash app flow. Ain't about cash. You establish a state. You don't need people to say, "Hey, brother, I'm 1,500 and you can be the judge." No, it's I need you and you need me to get this stuff done. Period. Period. I don't care about no dollar. That ain't it. That ain't even the right flow. That ain't even the right currency. So you stopping human rights because motherfucker ain't paid. Excuse my language. But so we got to get out of it. You see, I still got to sharpen up my character, quality of my character. I was on the left hand path too so much. I was ready to face so much truth. I started talking to myself negative to a certain extent. I got a problem doing it, and I got to balance myself. That's just me. But I'm glad that I do that to so the extent to where I'm comfortable calling out everything. I keep it real with myself to that extent. I don't I make sure my demons out on the forefront first. That's how I play chess. You can't point where. I'm a clean slate already as long as I do.
Mm-hmm.
Wish that a
But
lot of more. Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you 100%. It's time that we apply pressure. There's no more time to waste. These direct conversations, cut into the chase, all of this stuff needs to be done, right away, and a lot of people got to get off their high horses and that egotistical, way of thinking, because that's just delaying our progress. We have to restore what was lost. And, they got to just get over it. I'm okay with being wrong. If I learn from it, that's really what the ultimate goal is. That's why I'm a lifetime student. That's something that I pride myself on from the perspective of I'm never too good to learn something new. And when I'm on the path of truth, I'm not worried about being wrong as long as I'm going in the right direction. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that and they can't humble themselves because they operate through their ego too much. There's other individuals that still promote the falsehood. And I'm always gonna circle back to the question of, who's compromising, who's not, because ultimately, like you said, the cash outflow, everything that they got going, okay, it's a business for them. They're making money, but at the same time, you holding back the nation, right? Because you are in it for yourself, and that goes back to the individual small victories. I'm not in it for no small victory. Come on now, like we're going on for way too long. Like we got to take back what's ours. Like that's just rightfully so. Like why not? Like so why are we playing this? I'm doing it for me. I'm not trying to help. My fellow brother and sister. That's ridiculous. To me, like where I'm from, we call those ops. You are op to me if you really moving like that because ultimately you're not doing what's right and what everything in reference to what your ancestors set in stone for us, or laid down and put the pen to paper. You not
Mm-hmm.
living that through. Like that's terrible. How
Mm-hmm.
could you call yourself a more? Like, what I'm saying? Like you a compromised more. You a dirty more. And I don't want to deal with nobody that's like that at all. So yield the floor.
It's my fault I had you on mute.
It's all good.
So so yeah, as we conclude this meeting, I'm trying to scan my mind for any more points. Um, and again, as I throw the names out, Seer Duke of Tears, Dr. Eileen Bay, Taj Tariq Bay, it's all love. But at the same time, love,
That's a
truth,
fact.
peace, freedom, and justice will do its course, will take its course. And, everybody will be what it deserves to be, whether that's in peace, love, harmony, wherever, right? So injustice will take care of that, but it's going to take more to face, there's going to be the statements like put the what is it? Put the old heads in the back, something like that, to where basically it's talking about these ideologies, and it's kind of like this: in a seat of office, you have a human being occupying that seat of office, right? But if you have a problem with that person in the seat of office, let's remember our spiritual alchemy, right? All our practice that we learned all before law. They tried to keep law from far away from us, but we can still listen to spiritual videos and spiritual information all day, how to beat the ego and all this type of stuff. It's time to apply that, all while balancing enforcement. Okay, so the two worlds, right? Zeros and ones, in which that when we apply pressure in the right areas, we have carpentry work, we have 90-degree angles being made, right? Exact sharp corners. And by that I mean this is actual quality of your character, right? This is your actual shaping your spirit body. This their law is going to set that hammer. It's I'm not trying to take it in that route because I can get real Moorish, rudder, and second in the degrees of the compass and the square and stuff. But basically what I'm getting to is that we must face our cognitive dissonance. And I only say all these names and ways because people got to understand all these processes and stop thinking that it's one ideology that's this one ideology trying to fight this one, and we're going to see which ideology works best. And of course we're going to see, but this is not a contest of ideology. This would be a point where you can be transparent, you can be truthful. At least if you ain't being transparent, at least be truthful, right? In what you do and say. And you can have your privacy to some things, that's fine, you know, but at least be truthful in what you do. But more's got to learn how to, and that's why I brought up doing business in the United States and said all those points, because some more's not even aware of how to do that. And again, that was a point, that was the wave for so long, but not no more. We got to establish our own states, which has our own. We're not talking about EID, EINs. We're not talking about zero attachment in every which way. 0.00 bar. No attachment. So there is no doing business in the United States. There is no using U.S. laws, codes, trying to prove your points. I'm a Moor. We're Moors. We use Moroccan laws. That's Moroccan treaties. That's it. That's all we need. Boom. In our own law that we enact through our states. Let's get theirs. Get their constitution. Study their constitution. What a constitution is what you need as a state government to govern your state and the people in it. So more saying, hey, we need to uplift their constitution because it says trees are supreme law of the land. Well, if trees are supreme law of the land, then study the system that's for trees, which is supreme law of the land, not their constitution. It says trees are supreme law. It's not even a treaty. It's a constitution for their state. But so man, it's crazy. I used to be under this type of thinking, but so with that, I'll oh wow, I'll I'll conclude. We can conclude the meeting. Now I yield the floor to any questions or comments that anybody has to say. Okay, cool. Um,
I mean, I just want to say one last thing just to kind of sum it all up. Everybody that we named right throughout this conversation, this build, you know, I've learned a lot from them, right? But at the same time, I got to go beyond the ceilings that they put in place for the people because like once I found out there was more, and I found the aspect of the most important aspect of the total remedy, there was no looking back. Like I'm very passionate. Like I have zero time to waste. So for me, it's like I need to apply everything I've learned, you know, in time when I learn it and develop it in degrees, right? But I have to apply it because for me, I've been on the path, just all different types of topics of knowledge, of seeking in general, even outside of the Moorish information, everything. I've been doing this probably for like 15, 20 years, just various topics that's gotten me to this point today. So it's like, why stop now? You know, so that's why all of this is so important to me because people have, you know, I grew up in Christianity, all this stuff, like, right? So, you know, people being claiming to be prophetic over my life, like, oh, you know, you have this passion, you know, you're supposed to, you know, be a leader of the people, you know, you should be a preacher. This is that. That wasn't my calling. And I had to really understand that that wasn't it for me. So I had to separate myself from all of that and hone in on the knowledge and get to a place where now I know what I know and now it's time to apply it. And that's just where I stand. I yield the floor.
mhm, it's and yeah, just as you said, you know, I think we all, many of us learned a lot from many of those people that we named. You know, um, it's kind of like Brother Polite. I learned a lot when I was watching Sonetta videos at one point in my life. But you know, that, in my opinion, Brother Polite has a lot that would if somebody asks if I was once a student, if you want to say, of him, I'll be embarrassed to say so. But to a degree. But I only say that to say that, it's not the bite the hand that fed you type of thing. It's the kind of like the outgrowing process. And it is what it is. A horse is a horse, and a pig is a pig, and a cow is a cow. It is what it is, you know. So and then another thing, another name that popped up in my head was a Sharif Nine Feathers. And being that he has the passports, and they work for some people, in which it was good, but once we cross all the T's and dot the I's, again, passport, state IDs, things like that have to be issued from a state. What's the name of his state? Nobody knows because he doesn't have a state. And again, it's not a shot, but it's just a fact. If a judge wants to say that, it wouldn't be a shot. It's just reading what's on the paper or whatever. It's just a fact. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and by that I mean a state, meaning that you follow the instructions of the treaties, which tells you to deposit all the information at the specific necessary places, right? According to these treaties. What treaties? Well, in international law, conventions, acts, and treaties are all treaties. So what did the conventions say? Conventions say take it to the Secretary General, as well as several other places. What are those several other places? Which is really not said. Secretary General, the governor, and Sleepy Joe. Okay, the governor of your so-called state, right? Wherever if you're in New York, it'll be the governor of New York. You also send it to the Secretary General, who is in New York, and the Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joey B. So, um, it's a lot to think about, when we go into these processes. As I stated, Sharif 9 Feathers had that passport or whatever it was, and he was in China, and that's just letting you know that if he had a state, he's not in it because the state is what defines his country, and if his state was in China, then that's telling you that it's not over here. But so and even the topic again, before I know I'm kind of random, I'm trying to make sure I hit all points. But the United States, they knew what word to use. That's a part of that whole help from the dirty Moor. They knew what word to use. That's why they turned around, boom, acted belligerent after they signed the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, knowing that they was about to devalue themselves into a corporate, dehumanize themselves into a corporation. But they knew to use that word states though. So that's why a lot of Moors can't understand that aspect as well. Oh, states. Oh, ain't the United States is in the United Nations, and yeah, the United Nations knows that they're a corporation as well. But guess what they started off as? States, the United States of America. Then they dehumanized themselves, right? But they was already in the game, right? If you look at the research between the League of Nations and how they grew into the United Nations, uh, one of the reasons why the League of Nations grew into being what's known as the United Nations, so much of that reason is because of the United States and its power. It's what they refuse to do with the League of Nations. Okay, so they knew to use that word states. So they knew they wasn't about to be states for long, my guess. But regardless, we knew they used that word, and we know that they're not states. So putting the facts on the table, kind of seemed like they kind of knew that all along. And it was dirty Moors who helped them out, right? I.e., we're the ancient Americans, all this types of stuff. We're the ancient states. They probably knew the word America. Well, anyway, I'm rambling. But so we can conclude the class, the study session there. Um, the Moors in New York. If you all want to well, I'll write you all in the chat about it. About meeting up one more time nonetheless. And we can finalize a lot of things, get to the point. And I also have some information to give you guys. So, but if there's no more any more questions or comments, we can conclude this meeting here. Peace, Jeremy.
Thank you for your time.
Islam. No problem. All peace and love. So we'll conclude this and let me